Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinkerer Studio, and welcome to the 8th tutorial of the 3D Low Poly Game Modeling for Beginners series. In this tutorial, we will be modeling a castle. Let's change the renderer to cycles. Go into orthographic view, which is 5 on the numpad, and front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and then tab into edit mode. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and scale the cube along the x-axis, S, X, 6. Then scale the cube along the y-axis, S, Y, 6. Go into face mode using Control Tab, and select the top face. Then inset this face, I, 0.8. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Then select the entire outer wall by hitting your L key. Then scale it along the z-axis, S, Z, 3. Then select this very top inset face and extrude it along the z-axis, E, -6. Add a cube with Shift A. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and move the cube along the y-axis to the front of the outer wall. Scale the guard tower along the z-axis, S, Z, 3. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Align the guard tower to the front right of the outer wall. And we want to make sure that it's actually overlapping the outer wall. Select the top face of the guard tower and duplicate it with Shift D. Then scale the duplicated face, S, 1.2. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude the top face along the z-axis, E, 0.4. Make sure that you have everything aligned. Make adjustments if you need to. Go into edge mode with Control Tab, and top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Make 6 vertical loop cuts on top of the guard tower with Control R and your scroll wheel. Then make 6 horizontal loop cuts, Control R. Then go into face mode with Control Tab. Then select the corner faces, and then the face on each side of these corners. And then the faces that are in the center between these faces that we've already chosen. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude these faces along the z-axis, E, 0.5. Now select both sections of the guard tower with your L key. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Duplicate the guard tower with Shift D. Then place the duplicate tower on the left side of the castle. Now select all 4 sections of both towers and go back into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Duplicate the guard towers with Shift D. Then place the duplicates on the rear of the castle. Go into the right side view, just 3 on the numpad, and add a cube with Shift A, and move it along the y-axis to the front of the castle. Scale the cube along the y-axis, S, Y, 0.2, then go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the x-axis, S, X, 0.6, and select the very front face and inset it, I, 0.2. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z, and extrude this front face along the y-axis, E, Y, 0.2. Then go into solid mode with Z, and front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Select your entire window with your L key, and move it over the right front guard tower. Go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z, and move the window along the y-axis until it's touching the guard tower. Go back into solid mode with Z, and front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Duplicate the window with Shift D, and move the duplicate to the left front guard tower. Duplicate the window with Shift D, and rotate it around the Z-axis -90 degrees. R, Z, -90. And place the window on the left side of the left front guard tower. Deselect everything with your A key. Select the window on the right guard tower with your L key. Duplicate it with Shift D. Then rotate the window around the Z-axis 90 degrees. R, Z, 90. Then place the window on the right side of the right front guard tower. Then select all 4 of the windows with your L key. Duplicate them with Shift D. Rotate the duplicates around the Z-axis 180 degrees. R, Z, 180. Then move the duplicates to the rear guard towers. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Add a cube with Shift A, and move it along the y-axis to the front of the castle. Scale the cube along the y-axis, S, Y, 0.1. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the x-axis, S, X, 0.5. Then scale the cube along the Z-axis, SZ, 0.5. Then move the battlement along the Z-axis to the top of the castle wall. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and align the battlement to the outer edge of the wall. Duplicate the battlement with Shift D and move it to the right. Then repeat the process of duplication until you have 5 battlements evenly spaced on the front outer wall. Then select all 5 battlements with your L key and duplicate them, Shift D. Make sure that you're in top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and move the duplicates to the rear wall. Duplicate all 5 battlements using Shift D and rotate them around the Z-axis 90 degrees, RZ 90, and move the duplicates to the left wall. Then duplicate all 5 battlements again using Shift D and move them to the right wall. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and select the front right bottom guard tower with your L key. And duplicate it using Shift D. Then move the duplicate to the left and scale the whole thing using S.6, and then align it to the bottom of the castle wall. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Then line the tower up with the 4th battlement, about a blender unit in front of the wall. Duplicate this gatehouse tower with Shift D and line it up with the 2nd battlement. Now select the back faces of the lower sections of the gatehouse towers. Then use the manipulator and extrude the face along the Y-axis until they meet the outer wall. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Add a cube with Shift A and move it along the Y-axis to the front of the gatehouse. Scale the cube along the Y-axis, SY.2. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the X-axis, SX.4. Then scale the cube along the Z-axis, SZ.9. Select the front face and inset it, I.1. Then go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe mode with Z, and extrude the face along the Y-axis, EY.1. Then select the entire door with your L key and place it against the front right gatehouse tower. Go into solid mode with Z and front view with a 1 on the numpad, and move the door along the X-axis to the right front gatehouse tower. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Add a cube with Shift A and move it along the Y-axis to the front of the gatehouse. Scale the cube along the y-axis, S, Y, 0.05. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the x-axis, S, X, 0.05. And scale the cube along the z-axis, SC, 0.3. Go into edge mode with Control Tab and add 2 horizontal loop cuts with Control R and your mouse wheel. Then left click only once. Then scale the loops along the z-axis until they're about 1/10 of a blender unit from the top and bottom, S, Z. Then go into face mode with Control Tab. Then select the top and bottom back faces of the door handle. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and extrude the faces along the y-axis, EY, 0.2. Select the entire door handle with your L key, and then scale it, S, 0.5. Then place it on the door that we just made. Now select the entire door handle and the door with your L key and duplicate them using Shift D. Rotate the duplicates around the y-axis 180 degrees, R, Y, 180. And then move the duplicates to the left gatehouse tower. Duplicate the door and the door handle with Shift D. Then scale the duplicates along the z-axis, S, Z, 1.5. Then move the duplicated door along the y-axis to the left of the center, in between the 2 guardhouses. And then after you have aligned the door with the bottom of the castle wall, duplicate the door and the door handle with Shift D. Then rotate the duplicates around the y-axis 180 degrees, R, Y, 180. And then move the duplicates to the right. Then select both of the doors and the door handles with your L key. Then go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z, and move the door and door handles along the y-axis to the outer wall. Now go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and solid mode with Z. Deselect everything. Now select the right face of the right-hand gatehouse tower. Then use the manipulator and extrude the face along the x-axis about 1 blender unit. Then select the left face of the left-hand gatehouse tower and use the manipulator and extrude the face along the x-axis about a blender unit. Make sure you deselect everything. Then select the window from the right side of the right guard tower with your L key and duplicate it using Shift D. Then scale the window, S, 0.6. Go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and move the duplicate along the y-axis and into place over the right gatehouse tower. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z. Then move the duplicate along the x-axis and place it onto the right gatehouse tower. Duplicate the window with Shift D. Rotate it around the z-axis negative 180 degrees, RZ minus 180. Then move the duplicate to the left side of the tower. Select both windows with your L key and duplicate them using Shift D. Then move them to the left gatehouse tower. Now go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and solid mode, which is Z. Select the top faces of the gatehouse towers and duplicate them with Shift Z. Then go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude these new faces along the z-axis, E 1.5. Then select the top face of just the right gatehouse tower and merge the 4 corners at the center using Alt M and then at center. Then select the top face of the left gatehouse tower. Again, merge these 4 points at the center, Alt M at center. Then go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Add a cylinder with Shift A. And change the number of vertices to 16. Then move the cylinder along the y-axis to the front of the gatehouse. Scale the cylinder S 0.05. Then use the manipulator and move the flagpole over the right side gatehouse tower. Scale the flagpole along the z-axis, SZ10, and move it up along the z-axis so it's even with the bottom of the battlements. Go into edge mode with Control Tab and add 2 horizontal loop cuts to the flagpole with Control R. Left click only once. Scale the loop cuts along the z-axis, SZ, until they're about 2/10 of a blender unit apart. Then slide the loop cuts up along the z-axis until they're about 1/10 of a blender unit from the top. Go into face mode with Control Tab. Then select the center face between the loop cuts. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude the face along the x-axis, EX 0.5. Then select the entire flagpole with your L key and make a duplicate, Shift D. Rotate the duplicate around the z-axis 180 degrees, RZ 180. Then move the duplicate to the left gatehouse tower. And make sure that the original one is on the right gatehouse tower. Then go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and center up the flags. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Then select both of these large doors and door handles with your L key. Duplicate them with Shift D. Rotate the doors around the Z-axis 180 degrees, R, Z, 180. Then go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and move the duplicates to the inside part of the outer wall. Add a cube with Shift A. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX4. Scale the cube along the y-axis, SY3. Then go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and scale the cube along the z-axis, SZ2. Then move the castle down along the z-axis and align it with the bottom of the outer wall. Then go back into solid mode, which is Z, and top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Select the top face and duplicate it with Shift D. Then scale the duplicated face, S1.1. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and wireframe, which is Z, and extrude the face along the Z-axis, E2. Go back into solid mode with Z, and top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Go into edge mode with Control Tab, and select the top and bottom edges of this face. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe, which is Z. Then merge the two edges, Alt M, add center. Go into face mode with Control Tab, and front view, which is 1 on the numpad. Go back into solid mode with Z, and deselect everything. Select the two large doors and door handles with your L key. Duplicate them with Shift D. Then scale the duplicates, S.7. Go into top view, 7 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z. Then move the duplicated doors and door handles along the y-axis to the front of the castle. Go back into front view. Make sure that the doors are aligned with the bottom of the castle. Then go back into solid mode with Z. Add a cube with Shift A, and then move it along the x-axis so it's visible. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.4. Go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the y-axis, SY.2. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and edge mode with Control Tab. Then add 3 vertical loop cuts to the top of the window with Control R. Then select the loop cuts at the top of the window and go into front view with 1 on the numpad. And use the manipulator and move the edges up along the z-axis about 1/10 of a blender unit. Then select the middle edge, then move it up along the z-axis 1/10 of a blender unit. Go into face mode with Control Tab and select the 4 front faces and inset them, I.1. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and wireframe, which is Z, and extrude the faces along the y-axis, EY.1. Then select the entire window with your L key and scale it S.5. Then go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Then use the manipulator and place the window on the front lower half of the castle. Go back into solid mode with your Z key. Deselect everything with your A key. Select the outer wall and the large doors and door handles with your L key. And also select the gatehouse towers with your L key. Making sure you get every part of it. And then hide them with your H key. Then select the window that we just made with your L key. Then duplicate the window with Shift D and move it to the right. Then select both windows, duplicate them, and move them over to the left. Now select all 4 windows with your L key. Duplicate them with Shift D. Go into your right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and place the copies on the top half of the castle. Then go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and deselect everything with your A key. Then select 2 of the windows and duplicate them. Shift D. Then place the duplicated windows above the door. Now select all the doors and windows using your L key. Duplicate them using Shift D. Then rotate the duplicates around the Z-axis 180 degrees. RZ 180. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and wireframe mode, which is Z. And move the duplicates along the Y-axis to the back of the castle. Go back into solid mode with Z. Deselect everything with your A key and go back into front view with 1 on the numpad. Then select 5 of the windows from the top section of the castle. Duplicate them with Shift D. Rotate them around the Z-axis 90 degrees. RZ 90. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and wireframe with Z. And place the windows on the upper half of the right side of the castle. Go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Duplicate the windows with Shift D. Then move the duplicates to the lower half of the castle. Select all 10 windows with your L key. Duplicate them using Shift D. Rotate them around the Z-axis 180 degrees, RZ 180. Then use the manipulator and move them to the left side of the castle. Go into solid mode with Z and deselect everything with A. Now unhide everything with Alt H. And deselect everything with your A key. Now open up your Materials tab. Click on the plus button and the New button. Rename the material Stone and give it a gray color. I'm going to use the hex code of A7, A7, A7. Select your entire model with the A key and then assign the stone material. Click on the plus button and the New button. Rename the material Roof and give it a kind of a burnt orange reddish color. I'm going to use the hex code of A8 3E29. Then select the roof of the castle and the 2 roofs of the guardhouse towers and assign the roof material. Then click on the plus button and the New button and rename the material Wood and give it a brown color. I'm using the hex code of A74922. Then we want to select all the doors, door frames, door handles, flagpoles, window frames, and assign the material. So the easiest way to do this is to do everything that is outside that doesn't involve the castle. Now go ahead and assign the roof color to these selections. Then make sure you deselect everything. Then just like we did before, going to select the outer wall and the guard towers and everything that goes with them. And these doors. and hit H to hide them. Then select the doors and the window frames on the castle. Now go ahead and assign the wood material. Deselect everything. Click on the plus button and the new button. Rename this material window and give it a sort of cream color. I'm using the hex code of E7, E3, A4. Then this time we want to select all the actual window parts and assign this cream material. And once you have all of the windows and the doors completed, go ahead and unhide everything with Alt H and deselect everything with your H key, and then select the windows on the towers and the guardhouse towers, and then assign the material to those windows as well. Click on the plus button and the new button and name this material flag and give it a purple color. I'm using the hex code of AF13A3. Then select the actual flags and assign this material. And there you have your low poly castle. I hope you found this useful. Have a good day.